We're on to part 5 of the restoration of this rogues gallery of mainly 70s and 80s Matchbox cars. This is where we started, and if you remember last time, we'd got to 2 complete ones at the end of that one. And they're the complete ones, the Ferrari and the Trans Am, so let's see if we can get a few more of these done. The next one I'm going to tackle is the Sauber Group C Racer. That's where we left it. Just not mirror polished, but it was well on its way to being mirror polished. And once it was mirror polished, because I did mirror polish this completely, and then off camera I just went and did it with the taillight tint to get this sort of black chrome effect. I've got a full video on here about that. It goes into all the details about how you do that right from start to finish. Called black chrome. It's not a difficult procedure at all. It certainly doesn't require any big investment in equipment. It's just literally a case of mirror polishing the body and then going over it with this stuff. There's a little bit of a technique to it, but once you know how to do it, it's very quite quick and simple. But for now, I want to get that rear wing looking completely plain and unmarked, and also making it look new at the same time. So it's a similar process as with the window units, the plastic window units. It's just, you just don't use quite as many sanding pads. You don't need to go down through all the different grades. Start with the 1000 grit. That's what gets rid of the remnants of the logo, and you can skip down quite quickly through the rest of them. You don't need to go down through all of them like you do with the glass. And then the last one, obviously, is the really high grit, the sort of 8000, 10,000 grit ones. If you go over it with that, you'll just end up with nice shiny plastic, like it was, as though it was just made like that without any kind of markings on it. So moving on to the Pantera. We haven't seen the Pantera for a while. I've not really focused on that since it got painted. Did the body and the base plate in like a candy red that was over a gold chrome undercoat, so it did give it a nice vivid red. And we haven't really seen it since, apart from might have seen its glass unit briefly when I was doing all the glass units together. The interior was the one thing really that was outstanding on that. So, and when I say outstanding, I don't mean the really good kind of outstanding. I mean the kind of outstanding where you've still got something to do with it. So we saw it get painted, we saw the glass unit getting done. I did the wheels off camera because I did some of the other wheels on camera, and the ones on the Pantera were done in exactly the same way. The interior was just like a flat orange to start with, and what I wanted to do was get it to still be slightly orange, but more of a bronze, more of a copper. So I put some silver base coat on it. That was like a 30-second job, just silver out of an aerosol. There was nothing particularly that really needed to be seen there. The interesting bit is what goes on afterwards. It started out as Tamiya clear, and then using the ink from a brown ballpoint pen, because they do exist, and I used that to tint the Tamiya clear to end up with a kind of orangey brown transparent, which over the silver that I'd already put onto the interior, that gave me just what I wanted. I just wanted like a deep metallic copper to sort of contrast with or complement the red. Moving on to the RS200, so we last saw that when it had been turned into like a kind of chrome version of it, which it did look nice like that. And then I went on to airbrush a blue enamel, a transparent blue enamel onto it, which dried looking like it was going to kind of hide the chrome effect a little bit too much. But I just had a feeling that that would somehow sort itself out. And to a degree it did. I mean, looking at it here, it just looks, it still looks like a sort of metallic blue, so you can see that some of the metal's showing through it. And then when it dried fully, it was very matte, but you could see the chrome shining through it. Anyway, this is after I put the enamel lacquer on. So the enamel lacquer, it's something that I'm definitely going to have to experiment with a little bit more, because it does give good results. So this is what we've ended up with. It's more or less what I was trying to achieve. I mean, it's always a little bit, whenever you do the kind of chrome effect and you decide to go over it in blue, it's never going to be, or for me anyway, unless you use a very light blue. I mean, if you use a light blue, that's a different thing altogether. But because light blue is really just kind of tinting the silver chrome. But if you want like a full-on sort of mid-blue like this, it's always going to hide the chrome effect to a degree. It's never going to be quite as in your face as it is with like a red or an orange or a yellow. Even a lot of greens are more sort of quite obviously chrome under there. You've always got to kind of look for it a little bit, but I think with this one, I think it's worked out. Like I say, I think it's worked out pretty much as I wanted it to. There's always a temptation with something like this to start picking out a load of details. I mean, because I've gone for like the chrome effect and the chrome effect has just about come off, I'd rather let the details speak for themselves, because they are particularly good details in this casting. And yeah, you can bring them out with, you can start putting bits of silver on the lights, and you can start picking out the rear lights, and you can go around the window frames in black. There's no limit to what you can do. I have done that before, and probably the next one I probably will, but for this one I'm trying to make it look like this is something that the factory might have just churned out if they'd just been in a good mood and just fancied doing something a little bit fancy looking. Because if they had done it in any kind of chrome paint, this is probably all they'd have done. I doubt they'd have started then putting details onto the top of that. I think this is as far as they'd have gone with it. So it's, in terms of it looking like a sort of factory variant that never was, this is about where I want to be with it, really. Certainly if you look at what it was like, I mean, there's thousands of these out there, and now, if you collected all the different variations of them and you just got this one and put that next to them, you could probably kid some people into thinking that they actually did that at the factory. Maybe. So with the interior done, the glass done, and like I said, the wheels were done previously off camera, really there's nothing left to do with this Pantera now. I wanted, right at the start, I wanted one in a nice colour, the kind of fancy colour that they'd never used at the factory, because they could have. This kind of red was quite prevalent at the time that they were making this particular model, but they just never used it on the Pantera. All it ever got was quite simple bold colour. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, and it looked fine as it was, but they just never actually gave it a nice fancy colour. So all I really wanted from this was just for it to be in a nice fancy colour. The top and bottom halves be the same colour, because they always had, the lower half was always either blue or unpainted, so it never looked the same as the top half. It always had a sort of very slight two-tone effect to it, and I just wanted the whole thing to be one colour. I thought it might change the appearance of it a little bit and just kind of tone down that sort of slight fantasy casting appearance that they gave it by giving it the rear wheels. I think it now sits alongside the things like the Capri that they did, and it sort of looks like part of that gang, and it sort of always could have. And then I think we can say the Group C is ready as well. Again, I just wanted a nice plain one. You might have noticed a bit of a theme with me. I'm not really into decals. I mean, to the point where I'd say I don't do them at all. It's not that I don't like them. I mean, if I get something in nice condition, it's still got its original decals, I will appreciate it, and I'll keep it like that. And I certainly like to see some of the work that other people do with decals, but I'm more about just nice colours. I was thinking about decals just the other day, especially with the Trans Am now, because it's like it's not got its like Phoenix on the front, but I don't really want to. I came to the conclusion that I don't want to do it, because I like these cars as they are, just in a nice colour, including the Trans Am. I prefer it like that. So yeah, I thought the part of the reason I did the black chrome, I thought it fits in quite nicely with the CLK that I did, and then that sort of 190 touring car that I'm going to be doing in that same colour. So there'll be like a three of them, because I know it's Sauber, but it is Mercedes Sauber, so it all kind of fits. So we're on part 5, and we've got 5 done. So this is the 3 that have been completed. So quite a completion heavy instalment. I did think that the little Tamika service station kind of diorama thing might start to get a bit crowded, and it is indeed getting slightly crowded. In fact, I'd say we're pretty much running out of room, really. You can put a couple on the roof of it, I suppose, but might have to come up with something quite resourceful if we're going to get all 10 of them on at once at the end. So this is the Rogues Gallery, as it was to start with. Half of what you see here is already done, but I have a feeling that in the next instalment there won't be quite so many completions and probably more hard work. But until then, thanks for watching.